Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Dude, what a week.
What a Thursday.
What a Thursday indeed.
I missed last week because I was out of town, but I think you guys missed recording it too. And then Paul found our lost episode from, what was it, like February 2024? So I scheduled that episode up as well. It'll be
did not know about
very
that.
Out of place when it gets released, but I should have maybe recorded a little intro. It was like, hey, this episode went missing when David and I were looking through things last time. And then Paul found it.
How many pages of episodes did we scroll through to find the missing number?
So I guess that episode will come out before this one does. What's new with y'all?
We're doing big things at Podia right now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they've gotten announced, or at least I've seen messaging going out to customers about it. So, I mean, we've already talked about the big changes that are coming to the platform a few weeks ago that you kind of saw because you had the option to opt into them. Those are starting to get rolled out to like percentages of the user base.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then along with that is a big change to the subscriptions that I've been working on for the past 2 or 3 or 4 months. I can't remember at this point because like 50,000 lines of code have changed.
You mean payments aren't simple?
No, payments aren't simple.
We never complain about payments.
Never. Looks like previously you had a Podia subscription to one of our base plans, and then you had an email subscription, which you could, like at the base was 100, but then you could pay for more emails. So there were different kind of levels to that. And then you also had a team subscription, which was for assistants that you could invite to like help you manage your Podia community.
Your shop. Yeah.
And we have changed it. So instead of there being 3 separate subscriptions, there's one subscription. And that one subscription has tiers on it for the email. And we're rolling in the teams into the existing plans. And we also brought back a old plan that had been retired, but is now back.
Jeez. Sounds like a lot of work. Do you then have to like migrate the existing subscriptions over to the new plans? Or
Yes.
are you leaving people grandfathered or?
Well, so there is grandfathering. So like what you're paying right now, you will continue to pay. What we basically did is we created the tiered subscriptions for the new prices and the new plans and stuff. And then we created the existing prices and plans on a legacy tiered subscription. We were calling it legacy. What you're paying right now and the features you have access to right now will not change. And we have gone to great lengths to preserve those features. And then, yes, we are in the process of migrating every single subscription over to the new system, which, as you can imagine, is
super easy.
Yeah, super easy. I mean, there's not like a million edge cases. So I'm very happy with it because so far, absolutely nothing has gone wrong.
You put it out in the world, so now it's going to happen.
Now, I'm sure something will, but we had to do a little data massaging. So far, none of the actual migrated subscriptions have come across wrong or this or that.
Yeah. No, this is awesome. I haven't seen the new website and stuff. It looks fantastic.
Yeah,
way more modern.
The new Podia.com website got released yesterday as part of this.
I enjoy this. The features page that seemingly scrolls on
it's
forever.
Infinite.
Yeah.
We have a lot of features. I don't think it really kind of clued into me until I saw that page. I was like, holy crap, we have a ton of features.
Yeah, seriously. This is great. This feels way, way cleaner than the past for whatever reason. It's hard to put my finger on what exactly about it is so good, but like, I love the new logo that looks like it's hand drawn. Super cool, like cursive font.
Yeah. New logo, new brand color, new website, new platform.
Fonts and colors. Super nice. Looks great.
Yeah, we've gotten some great feedback on it so far. People seem to really like the direction we're heading.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I've been...
How long do you think all the payment stuff?
Well, so it's longer specifically for the fact of past due subscriptions, right? Because you can't migrate a past due subscription onto a new past due subscription. What we basically have done is come up with a plan that's like, okay, this is how we're going to handle it, and tell these people like, hey, you need to fix this past due payment. And we like basically flagged everyone at the time of launch that was in past due. And we have like a drip email going out that's like, hey, like you need to do this or XYZ things will happen. So like we won't actually be done with the entire migration until like 30 or 60 days. I can't remember what the exact time limit was. Basically until we can deal with the past due subscriptions, whether they get paid or whether they don't. And so far we've got, I mean, several people have just straight up paid as soon as we sent out the first email blast. So me and my project partner, Diego, are currently responsible for a lot more revenue coming in.
Love it.
As you can imagine, there is a whole host of edge cases that we had to handle for the actual migrating subscriptions, like subscriptions that are planned to downgrade, subscriptions that are planned to upgrade, subscriptions that have schedules attached, they have discounts attached. What if the discount is not active anymore? It's archived. So you can't create a new subscription with that coupon, but they still have time remaining. And then dealing with the fact that we have like, you can pay monthly or annually. So like if your one subscription is annual and the other's monthly, we want to make sure that, like I said, that you pay the exact same. And if you've already paid for something, like you should continue to get what you paid for. There's a whole host of issues. Like my project partner, Diego, and I came up with this really slick system that we called the stress test harness. We basically created like, I don't want to say cucumber, but scenarios that are basically pulled from live data and they get tested in a mocked environment in the actual app. But then I came up with this way to basically replay those scenarios into a live Stripe sandbox. Then once we were able to do that, it unlocked us to be able to do like a lot better testing because we were basically able to take like all the scenarios that were like, okay, this thing could happen and this thing and this thing and this thing. And every time we saw something weird, we'd add a new scenario for it. And then we're able to replay those live in a Stripe sandbox and see like, do they get the right things? Do they get the right discount? Do they have the right intervals? Do we handle the schedule change correctly? Do they get credit if they have time remaining on an annual subscription, but they're getting switched over to monthly and this and that? So a lot went into it, but I think Jamie said the stress test stuff that we built made him a lot more confident in it because, I mean, we caught several issues, thankfully, while using that too. So it really paid off.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's the stuff that like every product we've had is either one-time payment or like a monthly or annual and no add-ons. And I mean, aside from GoRails having quantity-based stuff and then Hatchbox is like metered billing, I've just intentionally tried to avoid all the complexity of that. Like you were saying, if you have an annual plan, but also like an add-on that's billed monthly or whatever, like, and Stripe used to not even let you do that. The subscription could have multiple line items, but you had to have a single monthly or annual interval or whatever they call it. But yeah, that's...
Well, these were 3 separate subscriptions, not one subscription with multiple items. And when we were...
Well, you can do that now or whatever.
You can do that, but there's a big caveat to doing that because that was the way we initially were going to solve this was like, oh, well, we can add items to a subscription and that's fine and dandy. But you can't update them. If you're on like the lowest plan and you want to upgrade to like our mover or shaker plan or earthquaker plan, you couldn't do that with the...
Really?
Yeah, you couldn't. Like it was impossible. We went back and forth with Stripe on this, and I may be getting some of the details like a little mixed up because it's been a while since we were on that path, but we're basically like, we can't do that. We're doing like the unit thing. I call it tiers, but it is like a unit amount in the subscription that relates to the amount of emails you can, your email tier.
You know, the more and more we talk about payments, the more I'm like, the payments infrastructure should probably not attempt to do hardly anything other than just charge the amount that you give it. You could more accurately just bill automatically every, end of the billing period. There's definitely lots of quirks for that or whatever of months that are different lengths. And maybe if you're real lucky, you subscribe on the 31st and only get charged every other month.
Well, that was the other condition I forgot about is like, what if one subscription started on the 1st of the month and another subscription started on like the 20th of the month? And like, you got to reconcile that and make sure that they get credit for anything that they've already paid for. It's insane. It's a lot. Like, it's a whole lot.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Well, at least it's going smoothly.
Yeah.
That's the first time we haven't been like extremely frustrated with payment related things for a while, it feels like.
Yeah.
Are you tired of babysitting your job queues? Let us do it for you. JudoScale monitors and autoscales your job queues so you can stop babysitting and get back to coding. We support Sidekick, SolidQ, GoodJob, and just about every other job backend in Rubyland. And of course, we autoscale your web services too. JudoScale scales up your apps faster than any other autoscaler, so request timeouts and backed up job queues are mitigated before they become a problem. JudoScale has a free plan you can use forever, so there's literally no risk, whether you're on Heroku, AWS, Render, or any other cloud platform. Visit judoscale.com and get your job queues under control.
We've migrated over 1,000 subscriptions, I think, at this point. And we started with the ones that were like, okay, these are like easier. And then we did trials.
Easy.
And then I'm working my way through another subset today. If I've seen distant or like unresponsive, like this is why, like I have thought about nothing else. Like there's no other context in my brain available. Like this is my life. Like all I think about is Stripe.
Yeah. Yesterday, Colin and I were working on just improving the emails we send out in Hatchbox. We don't send out enough during a trial, or even like if you cancel on any of our products, it'd be great to just shoot you a quick email and be like, hey, what made you cancel? Just to maybe get some useful feedback, even if it isn't a ton. So like Colin's first stab at it was adding in the controller, when you click cancel, after it cancels, send you an email or like queue it up to send out like an hour later. And then I was like, yeah, but if we do that and cancel somebody in the Stripe dashboard, we still want to send the email. So ideally, and even as well, like somebody, we didn't even think about this, like somebody's subscription can be canceled because their failed payment method or something. And I guess in those cases, there's not much sense in asking people why they canceled. So maybe we do want to go back to doing it in the controller. But I moved it to like, hey, when the model changes and there's like now an NZAT column and there used to not be, which should be fine because they should just jump. Well, I guess maybe we should do it where NZAT is in the future, because if it was canceled by Stripe because of a last failed payment attempt or something, then NZAT should be at least the current time or in the past. But there's so many nuances to this crap. So yesterday, anyways, like we were like, okay, if we send out or queue up this job to send the email, it's probably smart for us to like check when we go to send the email, did they resume? Because maybe they've resubscribed or something and they did it on accident or had second thoughts or whatever. And we get looking at Action Mailer and we're like, there's the before deliver callbacks. So maybe there's a way, rather than creating an additional job that does the delivery and has that logic in it, could we just put it in Action Mailer because it's already in a job? We could maybe just have that wired up where it just skips the mail, but the mail call doesn't actually do anything. There's like already a mail object. And I started getting into the weeds of Action Mailer. Writing a test for it, you can call the method and it returns a mail object, and you can call like deliver now and it will return the mail object as well. We were trying to figure out how to cancel it. So if you throw the abort symbol in the before deliver callback, that will cancel that. If you do that in a before action, because if people don't know, actually your Action Mailer stuff is just, I think it inherits directly from Abstract Controller. It is not a regular controller, but it is just like a controller. So that's where the before action stuff comes from. So the before deliver stuff was added not that long ago by a Ben Sheldon, adds before and after deliver. And like you can use those in place of interceptors and things, which are cool. But I was like, okay, cool. We'll apply this only to this one email in this mailer because we had a few others and just keeping them organized in one mailer. Ship it to production. For my testing, it seemed like it was fine. It did the check. The other emails tests were fine. Go to production. Then this morning, see some errors in Honeybadger that were like, yeah, the param subscription is nil. It doesn't exist. And I was like, how's that possible? And then Colin spotted in Honeybadger, it was like, well, it's running this other delivery job for a different mailer. It's in the same mailer, but the different email, I guess. And I was like, well, that's weird. So that means our before action somehow is being called on everything, or before deliver, even though I have the only option on it. And I just assumed that like only and accept were kind of things built into active support callbacks. That is not true. Only and accept are actually special cases that get normalized into if or unless options, which is interesting. So I discovered that today as I'm like debugging this thing, looking into the internals of Rails, because I was like, we can definitely do this in a different way, but I'd like to do this the cleanest way possible. So I ended up reading through the source code and finding like both of the controller and the action mailer callbacks are accessible or whatever. And then the before deliver stuff just calls set callback. But when I was looking in the controller stuff, it is a little different in that it has this like insert callbacks method that does the normalization stuff. And it also does the filter checking to see of the actions that are in this controller, or do each of the only or accept entries match a action name, which doesn't actually do anything in your mailers. But in your controllers now, you remember like whatever the version of Rails that added that. It's like if you have a before action that applies to a method that doesn't exist, it will raise an error now. So I was like, I'm going to have to copy paste a fair bit of code over here to keep it consistent. And I did, but then I put a binding IRB in there and never got called. And I was like, that's weird. So as it turns out, the callback stuff that is there ended up getting overridden by the ones from the controller, because I guess that module gets included later or something, and overrode my changes. And then I was like, wait a minute, if that's possible, then I can just like probably use the other methods because they already exist, because mine apparently aren't even being used, that I copy pasted from over there. So it turned out that like all the stuff I thought I was going to have to do ended up being 3 lines of code that just wraps the callback initialization in the other thing, the insert callbacks like normalizing function, which is what before action, skip before action, prepend before action, like all of those do the exact same thing. And I was like, dang, this is cool. So I learned a whole bunch about the internals of like actually how specifically the callbacks are implemented today and your controllers, because the only real options that the callbacks and active support are like if and unless. They don't have like a concept of a controller and method names or anything. So that makes sense that that's like an additional feature on top that's built into the controllers. But it is fun to see, like, you don't really think about it, but your mailers are just controllers too. They're really not much different. They render views the same way before actions. They're almost exactly the same kind of thing. So turned out that it was an extremely easy little PR to make to Rails, and hopefully that'll get merged. But I was scratching my head this morning and in production trying to debug why this method got called that was supposed to be skipped for everything except for one situation. It was weird.
I would love when that happens. I've run into that too, though. I always I want my concerns to be included at the top and then my callbacks. And I've run into situations before where it's like, okay, well, actually, you didn't, because of the ordering, the ordering of the way you did this. Yeah. Like now we've got a problem because, this needs to be there in order to call this and blah, blah, blah.
Honeybadger helps you deploy with confidence and be your team's DevOps hero by combining error, uptime, and performance monitoring in one simple platform. It's free to get started and setup just takes a few minutes. Be the hero your team needs. Suit up at honeybadger.io. That's www.honeybadger.io. The thing that caught my eye was clearly only an accept or a special case somewhere. So I searched for it in the abstract controller callbacks file, and there's this one function called normalize callback options, and it just says basically take the options. If there's an only key, convert it to an if. And if there's an accept, convert it to an unless, because those are consistently treated as arrays. It knows how to convert both of those. And it's just the little exception in there that's hardly referenced anywhere, but that was it. And then you dig into it and you're like, oh, wow, this is all a lot simpler than I thought it was. Because I was kind of worried, like, maybe it's a bunch of extra things. But as I was reading the docs yesterday, I was like, is nobody doing this? And then I found Ben Sheldon's PR that refactored this, whatever. When was that? It was merged April 4th, 2023. March 9th, 2023 was when he created it. And he like did a great job with that, plus writing tests for the various ways to like kill or cancel a delivery of an email. Because if you do a before action, where is that example? So canceling in a before action, you can like set the response body, which is a little strange in a mailer, but you set it and then that works the same way as setting a response body in your controllers. It just like stops processing there. But then you do the typical like throw abort symbol in the before deliver action. So they're a little different because if you throw abort, you actually get a thrown exception error message in a before action. So it's not like totally consistent there, I guess, from that sense. But there's also a way to like tell, because the mail object is a mail message from the mail gem. And you can apparently also tell it specifically to perform deliveries false, which is interesting because in your test helpers, the action mailer based deliveries that you test against is just a collection from the test helper that the mail gem does. So it just like appends them to this array when you're doing your test suite. The problem is, regardless of that flag being on or off, it's considered an email that was sent because it just gets added to that array, but it's like an internal thing of the mail gem. So I wasn't even sure if it was going to be, how do I test that? If it's like a configuration thing on a one-off object, do I have to go find the mail object and then check perform deliveries as false if I want to see if it was canceled, if we did that route? So I was very confused. Like, what's the recommended way of doing this? There's not much information anywhere I could find. A few people hacking around it like way back in 2007 or something, and a couple other blog posts since then, but not a whole lot. So I was thinking about all this, like maybe that's a good use case to document or something just to show some more details of it. The test suite is obviously like where I went initially to figure out, well, surely there's a Rails example of how to do that. That's where I first ended up with, okay, I think I can do a before deliver and abort in there. But my goodness, in the weeds for sure. But it's one of those things where you're like, turns out not every feature of Rails is as consistent as you might think from the surface level, because some people maybe just haven't used that feature or haven't needed it. So it kind of got added, but like 2/3 of it got added or something. And it's easy to miss that stuff. So it's like, yeah, if this has more recently been added, then we might as well make it fully compatible with the other things and consistent there. So hopefully that PR gets merged.
Related to mailers, I found out recently you can make your own layout for mailers.
Yes.
Like, I had
it
no
comes
idea.
with it, doesn't it? Like Rails new, I think, comes with mailer.html.erb.
No, I mean like the previews. We have like mailer previews of like our emails, and you can customize the layout and the page of like the preview screen.
Yeah, the like wrapper around that.
Yeah.
Because it's like an iframe internally, but then because the parent layout thing has the multi-part selection, so it'll switch and render the correct text part or whatever. I dove into that not that long ago for some reason, because I was looking at those previews are like used in Interceptor. So that is where it handles it, and I forget how it writes things. There's another thing I saw yesterday as I was poking around, is like there's a delivery method called file, and I had built the mail bin gem. The idea with it was like write the emails, like the EML file to the temp folder, and then we could just browse that and preview all the like deliveries rather than having to use like letter opener or something. This is a simpler mirror of kind of that's why I was doing it. There's the preview functionality that's built in. I was like, well, why don't I just have that, but for the sent emails? If I just stash them in the temp directory, I could do the exact same functionality there. So that's how the Mailbin gem kind of came out about, to keep it even simpler and closer to Rails. Because I was like, there's probably an argument to have that built into Rails core like itself, because you've already got the previews, and to test the emails that you're sending in development, just writing them to the temp directory would be really convenient, and just having that baked in if you're not recreating or adding a ton of code to pull that off. It's basically functionality that's already there. So that was what I did a couple years ago. I think we've been using that all the time in Jumpstart and all of our apps. I think I created a custom delivery method that writes to the temp directory. And then I discovered there's a file delivery method built in that either writes if there is a temp directory in Rails root, it will write there, or it will write to like dir.tempdir, and we'll just make one on the operating system level. And I was like, oh, dang. So maybe I can even simplify further and just have it. If you select Mailbin, it just inherits from the file delivery method or something. So yeah, I got to go back and look at that now.
Well, I got to get back to my work.
I got on the side quest of fixing Rails, and now I got to go back and fix my app.
Yeah, now I got to remember what I was doing.
Ironically, Colin and I decided we should just like, if you click cancel, we should just like send you the email regardless, even if you did resume, because whatever, people aren't going to be, they had clicked the button. So you are curious, why did you do that? Even if they did resume, and maybe they'll tell us why you resumed. So I was like, all that stuff I just did, fixing the callbacks and testing all that, you didn't need it in the first place. But I luckily went down that rabbit hole. So now I feel like I understand Rails a bit better now.
Nice.
All righty, gentlemen. I'm good to peace out. Catch you in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I'm
you're going to be gone
going
for a
on
while.
vacation.
Just me
I
and
may
Andrew
never come
holding
back.
down the fort.
What if I just Ryan Bates it and never come back?
Dude, I know how to get degrees. I'm a man with a
One-way
particular set
ticket
of
degrees.
skills.
I'm pretty sure they have the internet in Greece.
Yeah, I think so. And if they have the
Sounds
internet in Greece,
terrible.
that means you can be found.
Sounds terrible. We'll catch you all later.
Peace.